cat does. He knows you talked about his asshole on a podcast.
Huh?
Cats get sensitive about when
I
you
said
talk
the
about
cat
their
knows
asshole.
you talked about wiping his asshole on a podcast. So
Yeah.
salty.
Did we somehow start already while I wasn't sitting here?
I did.
What you did?
I'm sneaky.
Wow, you were like a ninja. You're like a recording ninja. You're like.
We've been going for like 20 seconds now. That's an entire minute of me like wondering where the hell I am.
Get out of my way, crap. Oh, no.
Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to Cinematic Anarchy, because here we are already. I mean...
Wow, that was a very energetic... Hi, I'm Chris! I was not ready. I was pouring my ginger ale, man.
Look, I got... My cat just yelled at me in the next room because I stepped near it. I'm walking by the cat, and it just looked at me and... And I'm like, okay, geez, yeah, like, I'm not going to step on you. Don't worry. I'm at least 5 feet away.
It's a cat's prerogative.
For now.
The problem is that my cat has this tendency to... I'll try to walk past it, and then it will walk in front of me and then just sit down in my path. And I have occasionally tried to step past him, and then he'll slip his tail underneath my foot as I'm putting a foot down.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
We have a leaner. We have a cat that walks up to you and then leans on you. She'll just walk directly in front of you and then lean on you. And then Mom had this dachshund that was blind and deaf. And he would be sitting on the ground, and you would go to step over him, and he would always lift his head the minute your foot passed over him.
Right into your foot.
And I kicked that dog in the head. I can't even tell you how many times. Because you think you're fine. He's not going to move. He's deaf and blind. What's he going to do? But nope, he'd always be like, what? And he'd stick his head up. And you kick him in the head every time.
I'm trying not to injure the cat, but he definitely does his best to become like a place for me to basically flatten his tail.
Yeah, it's an insurance scam. He's hoping for food.
Mm-hmm. I'm realizing that we are recording late at night, and I'm starting to lose all control of my mind, my tongue.
Which is why this is an excellent time to talk about Barbarella.
That is what we're going to be talking today about Barbarella. We are going to be sitting here and having I don't know what kind of conversation about this film. I watched this once.
We're going to be talking in circles around Barbarella.
Because it is a circular movie.
I don't know that there's any cohesive, real plot to this film at all.
She's looking for Duran Duran. God.
No.
In her brown shag spaceship.
Oh, good Lord. That has to be difficult to clean.
And everything in the place is plush.
No, robots do it.
There's like plush shag carpeting everywhere except her bed, which is clear plastic.
It's like a clear plastic hammock on the floor that she, for some reason, has to lay stomach first on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The most uncomfortable looking laying position ever.
Yeah. After they do the stupid, like, love. Because she gets the transmission, and it's
love.
Like, we have to send you to this planet to find Duran, the scientist that's gone missing. And love. And then they send her a bunch of guns, and she's like, how barbaric. She's got this whole armload of guns.
I like how she immediately tries to walk off. I'll go get some clothes. Don't bother. And he keeps her talking and there, just standing. You know that he did that just to keep her naked there.
Right. I just love the slow Jane Fonda reveal at the beginning too, because she's got that helmet on. Then it's like slowly is emptying, and it's like, who's in the helmet? I don't know. And then it's Jane Fonda.
Have you? Yeah. That is an earworm right there. Have you heard me walking around the past like 5 minutes in between things? I'm walking around trying to get my son his ice cream, and I'm just going da 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 da.
Yeah,
it's stuck in my head.
It's like I told my daughter was getting really upset at me for dad jokes last night, but one of them was, what kind of music does a fisherman listen to? Something catchy.
Ooh, okay.
I just want to.
That is a dad joke.
This was a comic series too. Barbarella.
It was a French comic, if I'm not mistaken, that they tried to bring over and translate a little bit of it. We didn't get all of it translated, though.
No. I'm amused that you saw an edited version of this.
Well, apparently there's 3 versions of this film out there. There's a heavily edited version, which is almost maybe 60 minutes long. And then there's this version, the one that I got on the 4K Blu-ray, and I don't know why I needed this on 4K Blu-ray.
4K Barbarella.
Well, I actually
the orgazmatron with more pixels.
I actually liked the commentary track, and then they had that bunch of special features on the other disc. It was interesting, kind of listening to the history of the film, and there was more fashion history of the film than there was actual history of this film.
She changes her outfit. I think she has 8 or 12 outfit changes.
This is one of those things where I'm like, hey, I took notes, and hey, I don't have my notes.
Where are these?
If you'd like to cue back to the last episode, I had notes, I took notes. They are not with me. They are sitting on a random desk in the school somewhere, which thankfully I'm going back Sunday to do some shoveling.
Yeah, someone's going to find something real interesting.
What is this
What
about?
is the janitor
This is
doing?
a strange lesson plan.
Jane Fonda.
I may just
half the movie? An angel doesn't make love. An angel is love?
Basically, she fucked him into sight. I can see and my wings work now.
Yeah, well, she cures his depression. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No. Pygar, no.
And then he has the feather diaper. I don't know how. There's no other way to describe whatever outfit it is.
It's a feather diaper.
It's a feather diaper.
Even in the description that they gave it in the little fashion commentary that they gave for it, it's a feather diaper.
It's a feather diaper.
Yeah.
My favorite guy, though, of the dudes that she's going to hook up with in the movie, is the first guy that she meets out on the ice. And he takes off, he's wearing a fur coat, like a fur outfit. He takes off his fur outfit, and wouldn't you know it, he's still wearing fur because he's so fucking hairy. He's you want to talk about a bear. You don't have to choose the bear. This man is both. His hair is solid.
This movie, to this day, this version of the film is PG rated and is so close to softcore porn, I don't even know.
I mean, because she gets attacked. Okay, so she travels to the planet, and then she crash lands trying to land on the planet. And she gets attacked by children who have weird reverb voices. They're like, and they have those dolls that are like, ka-tack, ka-tack. They're like the stupidest doll. They're like from Trilogy of Terror.
They have the metal jaws, Jaws from Moonraker.
Bond.
James Bond, Moonraker.
And they're slow walking at her, and she's like, no, help, what can I do? Oh, no. And then they bite her, and they strategically tear her outfit. And she's like, oh, I'm almost falling out of my shirt now. And then that guy rescues her, and he's like, okay, I rescued you, so, you could probably pay me.
What you could do for me is let me make love to you. That's his line. She's like, what? All right, fine. She puts her hand out. What are you doing? No, not that way.
Not that way. And she's like, what? Well, you don't even know my psychocardiogram.
And then he convinces her, and then she just lays back like somebody that's waiting to be assaulted. Fine, do it.
Hey, if someone has that much body hair, you're powerless.
I am just picturing, is it something about Mary with Ben Stiller on the court playing basketball, and just this sweaty, hairy guy that just rubs up against his face? That's what I'm picturing with this.
Same vibe. Apparently, the evil city of Sogo is a reference to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, is it? That makes sense. Sogo. Well, then she's laying in bed, humming to herself. She's like, la 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 la. After they do the thing where it skates around the ice pond to jaunty music while she's
doing their thing,
repaying her debt.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And then like half her ship is missing, and he's like, "Oh, I see your problem right there.
It's out of gas.
Is it? I can fix it. It's your stabilizer. Is it? I thought it was the fact that half my spaceship was missing."
It's like this massive hunk just like taken out of the side there. Oh yeah, just the stabilizer.
Yeah, he's like, no, I got this. And then he fixes
half the hull.
He fixes it in reverse, so she tries to fly away and she tunnels through the ground. She ends up coming up where she needs to be anyway. And that's
Jane
when
Fonda dubbed herself for the French version of the film.
Oh. I know that the lady who plays the like evil queen is dubbed. That's not her voice. That's like this famous sultry lady from the 60s who they got specifically to be the voice.
Okay.
I believe that the lady that we're talking about, though, this is the oh God, what is her name in this? I'm going to look this up now. I should have my notes in front of me. I do not, which makes me feel all sorts of stupid. But she is supposed to be, or for the longest time, was a consort of Keith Richards.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never heard the term consort applied to a rock star.
Yeah. Or she was the consort of Keith Richards.
Yeah.
I'm just going by all the information that I was provided with. Yeah.
It says here that Ian McKellen flew to Rome to audition for a role.
Please tell me he was going to be Pygar.
And Jane Fonda cooked him breakfast while he was waiting to do his read-through.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch this movie till I was older because my mom hates Jane Fonda.
Oh, with a passion.
With the Great Tyrant. Her name is the Great Tyrant.
So Anita Pallenberg.
Your mom or Jane Fonda?
The Great Tyrant. Your mom or Jane Fonda?
Oh, she hates Jane Fonda. She won't even watch anything with Jane Fonda in it. Forget it. She's not going to watch it.
Before we really get into too much more of this, I will say that I had a lot of difficulty watching this film. Not for any other reason than the fact that my most recent imagery of Jane Fonda is Grace and Frankie. So, older woman, almost 80, Jane Fonda.
That would put it a little...
Basically playing the jilted ex-wife of a guy that these two lawyers turned out to be gay. They decided to leave their wives, Jane Fonda and what's Frankie's name? Lily Tomlin.
Yeah,
is that what her name is? Lily Tomlin.
I remember the show. Yeah, I don't know. I again have never seen anything with Jane Fonda in it.
So as good as she might look here,
except this,
it's the same voice.
Yeah, it's still Jane Fonda. Yeah.
So every time she talks, I'm just seeing Jane Fonda in Grace and Frankie, and so it's like she might have been a sex symbol back then, but right now in my head, it's like octogenarian.
Yeah, well, she gets to be a sex symbol many times in this movie. Never explicitly. She's always like, "Hey," well, because she gets with Harry dude,
yes,
and then she ends up meeting with Pygar and the professor. And he's like, well, this guy could fly you to Sogo because you're stuck in the weird labyrinth of naked people, like naked people stuck in the walls and shit. I don't know what this... the labyrinth, it's like the labyrinth, but instead of the walls being made up of people, it's like my favorite of the couple. There's like two people stuck in the wall, and the guy's just like the most dispassionately fondling the woman in front of him that you've ever seen in your life.
Where the good people are all sent. They're all sent out to the labyrinth, and the evil folks are still in Sogo.
And the labyrinth consumes them or whatever, and apparently consumes their clothes first. I don't know, because everybody's naked. That's all that really matters. But he's like,
pretty close to naked.
He's like, Pargar could take you, but he's depressed. He can't fly. And she's like,
He has
well,
performance issues.
wouldn't you know? I know the cure to that.
Gee, I think I can put a smile on those wings, Pygar.
I recently learned it's a thing that I enjoy, so let's go ahead and do that. And that's when she's like, wow, we made love, Pygar. And he's like, an angel doesn't make love. An angel is love. It's my favorite line from the whole movie. Close to it. And then they end up going, like, they have to fight the ships. Like, Pygar has to be like a battle, whatever. She's like,
that was...
It was so dumb because he's like holding her in the most awkward way possible. Like no one would ever pick a human being up ever that way ever in their entire life. And she's
An angel would.
And she's like shooting them with the handgun and exploding these ships. Okay.
That was probably one of the few scenes in the film where I was just like, these are like obvious models. Like there was no way to even get around the fact that they were obvious models. It was really bad.
No, and she has him fly her to Sogo, knowing that they're going to kill him if he goes to Sogo. And they land and they immediately take him into custody. And she's like, "Oh man, who could have seen that coming?"
Jeez, wow, yeah.
And then
you just told me blatantly this is going to happen.
Yeah, so I could definitely not have foreseen that, but whatever. And then she hooks up with the Resistance, led by Dildano.
The name.
David Hemming's character, yeah.
That's the one time she gets to actually use the hand thing. Because he's like, well, we got a few minutes. And she's like, cool, we could have sex. And he's like, well, no, not like that. And she's like, oh, I really wanted to.
It's like, I was just starting to like that.
It's basically just her fucking her way through the city until she gets to Duran Duran. And then Duran Duran puts her in the orgazmatron. What is this movie? Like, who wrote this script down?
No. I don't think that's the orgazmatron. If I'm not mistaken, isn't the orgazmatron the thing from The Sleeper? I think there was another name for this.
Orgazmatron is in Barbarella.
Yeah, she's in the orgazmatron.
Yeah.
Because she ends up breaking it because she can handle too much pleasure.
I thought there was a different name for that one. I thought the orgazmatron was the device that shows up in the movie The Sleeper with Woody Allen's movie.
In my head, it's always the orgazmatron. It wouldn't really matter what it really is at this point because
whatever it is, it's ridiculous.
At a fundamental
it's
level.
ridiculous, and it's like a
sequel is planned.
He's playing the organ. He's like,
it's literally a sex organ.
Yeah, it's a sex organ. Yes. Yes. And then he's like, you shameless hussy, because she breaks it because she's just laying there like, I mean, what a way to go. And her clothes start shooting out the bottom. And then it like lights on fire. And she's like, oh.
I didn't get to finish.
And Duran Duran's supposed to be like 25. And he's
like, I can name 3 guys that do it better than your machine does.
3 guys today. 3
guys today.
And then she has to sneak into the ladies' room with the invisible key. And every time they pick it up, it's like, dink, like that. This movie is so weird.
Or the Essence of Man scene.
Yes, yeah, where they're literally like drinking the dude tea because he's in the water. And
were they drinking it, or was this like it's the smoking the steam that comes off of the obviously drowning guy?
Yeah, the essence of man. Yeah. This was like if you took the 60s and you were like, what if the 60s were a movie? It would be this movie.
Absolutely.
What if the 60s were a softcore porn space opera?
I mean, I believe the 60s were a softcore porn space opera, so it's fine. And I don't know what the
dream of the 60s.
I don't know what the fixation in the 60s was with like, hey, if we're in space, we should probably film some gooey shit in water and put that as like the whole screen. Because that was like their thing.
Well, we didn't actually have pictures in space.
It was like lava lamps. Like all it was, like that's what oh, what's that movie that I hate? 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's like 45 minutes of just shit in water.
The original Solaris.
Yeah. I watched too many 60s sci-fi movies.
You hated both of those?
I didn't hate Solaris. I do hate 2001:
A lot of
Odyssey.
There's this planet that they're orbiting, and all the images of the planet are like a close-up of like an aquarium where they inject different liquids in and watch them mix.
Yeah.
And that's like half of the special effects budget was
shit in water.
Shit mixing in water as a backdrop, like when you see the planet through windows and stuff.
I mean, I guess that's
just you straight cut to scenes of that.
I mean, yes,
with
correct.
monologue.
They didn't know what it looked like in space because we hadn't been in space yet. But also, it's a lot of shit in water.
I mean, if that's half your special effects budget, you're being fairly frugal.
Yeah. But like that, Barbarella did it too. Every time we see the Matmos, that's what it is.
I don't have a lot to say about this movie. I really don't.
Not, Chris.
What?
I mean, outside of the guy with the guy with the obvious like monkey outfit, just this hairy. I want to say the Bigfoot outfit without the hat.
Yeah,
you don't have the Bigfoot head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like I feel like they stole that from maybe Planet of the Apes, the movie, and just didn't take the ape helmet with it.
Yeah.
I actually feel like this guy probably was in Planet of the Apes. He's just like, look, I'm over.
Own body hair. No, he probably shaved his own body hair, made a suit out of it, and then wore it.
I've got 20 minutes where I have to be back on set. Let's get this done. Let's get her done. We're out of here. And
yeah. Can we just ride this ship around in a circle for 5 minutes and then I'd be done? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
That's it.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Do you think the scene where they're on the ice area was the inspiration for Ice Planet Barbarians?
Maybe. Chris doesn't know what we're talking about. That's fine, Chris. You don't need
Finally, a reference that Chris doesn't get.
No, hold on.
Some seriously smutty books, Chris. You think Barbarella's bad? Ice Planet
That's a movie.
Is worse.
That's a movie.
Isn't it Ice Planet?
If I'm not mistaken, they made a movie. Not out of the book.
Not out of the books for sure.
They did not make a movie based on the book series Ice Planet Barbarians.
No.
Because those are like 90% sex scenes.
Yes. Well, that's how we started one of our podcasts, though, because
I mean, some of those back alley grindhouse films were
yeah.
It's entirely possible. I'm gonna have to go look it up now.
I am looking it up.
You are currently looking up to see if there is a film version of those books.
Yes, there is not. There's an Ice Planet, the movie.
Am I thinking Ice Pirates?
I think you're thinking Ice Pirates, yeah.
Which was also I remember going to see that film. I have a fond memory of going to see that film because there's one scene in the movie. There is a supposed sex scene in the movie where I went to go see this film in the theater with my mother.
Okay.
Ooh.
Nice.
And so I'm eating popcorn, just watching this thing, and I don't know what the hell's going on. This sex scene comes up. My eyes go wide for about 5 seconds before my mother's hand comes up so fast. She went to go block my eyes and misgauged the distance between her hand and my face. And instead just smacked me hard in the nose, ended up with a nosebleed.
Popcorn.
I bet it prevented you from watching that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Mission
did.
accomplished.
It also ruined the popcorn. So
it only has 17% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Barbarella?
No, Ice Planet.
Ice Pirate?
Oh.
Ice Pirates.
Ice Planet.
Yeah.
Ice Planet or Ice Pirates?
Ice Pirates.
Yeah. It's not a good movie.
What Barbarella has on.
I think Barbarella actually has a pretty decent rating.
74% certified fresh. That's Barbarella. You know what? 60s sci-fi is such a moment. I feel like it deserves its own independent study because it is so weird and it is so all over the place. And it's either Barbarella where you have shag carpet spaceships and a woman whose entire purpose is just to fuck. That's it. Or you have like highbrow dudes in space trying to be sciencey dudes in space, like Solaris and 2001: A Space Odyssey. And
I mean,
very little in between.
I mean, the president of Earth obviously knew that when he said her incomparable talents, he knew that he meant fuck everything in your path.
Yeah, he wasn't talking about her spaceship flying capabilities. Although everyone can fix her spaceship, so it's fine because her spaceship is broken again because the guy fixes it in reverse. Who could have guessed that a man who literally has more body hair than a monkey couldn't fix the spaceship that was missing half of the back half of the ship? And so
maybe in the 401st century, he's a descendant of MacGyver.
Maybe, but he doesn't do a good job. And so the professor has to fix it.
I will say that I think that probably of all the outfits that she wore in the film, the one that she gets from him is the weirdest.
With the long tail.
The skunk outfit.
The skunk outfit, yeah. She gets it caught in the door.
I would say is probably the weirdest one in the entire film.
Yeah, and she has to manage it the most because she's constantly brushing the hair out of her space. She wears so many different outfits. It's so weird.
Well, this is like a...
Pretty.
That's why I was saying this thing has more of a fashion foothold than it does an actual cinematic foothold. Because you saw pictures of Barbarella everywhere. Most people have never seen the film and they've seen the pictures.
Yeah, stylistically, absolutely. Like I have an aunt named Barb and my sister calls her Barbarella, so we actually sat down and watched Barbarella so she'd know the reference, and she was like, please don't ever call me Barbarella ever again. But she does have the poster on the wall.
It's a tapestry.
It is a tapestry size poster
of Barbarella?
Of Barbarella, but she's like, I'm never going to watch this ever again. Please don't call me Barbarella.
I mean, why didn't the tapestry come down like 5 seconds later?
No.
I feel
rolling it up. I think she likes it, yeah.
Because it upsets your mother.
Oh, that's possible, yeah. Because it's got Jane Fonda on it.
Mm-hmm. It keeps your mom
if it's
out of her house.
If it's a picture from this movie, then obviously it's not a it's a provocative Jane Fonda.
It is a provocative Jane Fonda. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's her like holding a gun. A space gun.
Oh, okay.
I was reading in the
it's
trivia
that scene.
This was prior to her activism phase.
No.
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, and she had trouble defending it because people challenged her on it.
Oh.
Like, you're such a feminist activist person. What about this movie where you were literally...
I think in 60s language, this is feminism.
Yeah, this was feminism for the 60s.
Yeah, they said you were in a movie that literally, branded you as sex kitten.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in the 60s, this was feminism. This was I'm free. I'm doing whatever dudes I want
sexual
to.
Autonomy.
There's no shame, no guilt. There's nothing associated with her sexual, except for the first one, which is a little transactional and kind of weird. But the rest of them,
she still had control the entire time.
Right. Yeah, she was a willing participant. No. Yeah, he was like, I think maybe we could, and she was like, I mean, I got nothing else going on, and there's no shame. She's naked in front of the president, and it's fine because there's no body shame. I think this was intended to be feminist. It's not now. It doesn't read that way, but definitely we always have in our podcast where we're like, you got to think about it in the context of its time. And in the context of its time, yeah, this is
this would have been liberating.
This would have been a sexual liberation era movie.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think the other way about it, but I don't see anything that happened in this film as specifically her being anti-feminist.
No, she's the main character. She's the main driver of the plot.
It was the accusations against her were purely from you're violating the purity codes of 50s era American culture.
So,
and she was like,
I mean, that was the whole point.
Yeah. Violating the purity codes was the purpose.
Yeah.
The burning your bra generation, basically.
Yeah. We have the borderline lesbian scene where she goes in with the Great Tyrant. And the great tyrant's like, you are so hot.
Apparently that is one of the scenes that got cut.
Oh.
So there are a handful of scenes that got cut for them to send it over here. Yeah. However, the French got a very different movie.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, yeah. She's got more sexual chemistry with that lady than she does with a lot of the dudes she ends up being with. Because they're locked in that room together, and the great tyrant's like, oh no, what will we do to pass the time? I mean, I'm here, you're here. And they're like, well, we'll find the invisible key, I guess. Tickle, 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 tickle. Yeah. And then he tap and it's like, bing! You can just hear the sound. They all
invisible key.
The
sure.
Invisible key, yeah. Which is always on a silk pillow, and they like scramble on the silk pillow. Yeah.
I'm just trying
the Chamber of Dreams or whatever.
There could have been like a plot or a storyline for this, but it just doesn't feel like it quite made it there.
Well, she's technically looking for Duran Duran, and then she finds him like halfway through the movie. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's me. I'm Duran Duran. Oh, and I'm evil now."
Yeah, he's the one with the orgazmatron.
Yeah, the whole purpose was to stop him from using a weapon that would break intergalactic love or something to that nature. Like him using this weapon of violence would end this generation of love that they've cultivated.
So she kills half the people on the planet to stop him from doing that.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, the positronic laser or something to that nature.
Sure. They loved positronic. I'm sure it's somewhere in there.
I think that's one of the last things that he yelled before dying. "I'll get you with my positronic laser" or something of that nature.
I just love that he's supposed to be young. And she's like, "Oh my God, I thought you were young." Because the running joke that nobody actually has a picture of him, because they send her the picture of him and it's like him in the background of another person's picture.
In like a helmet.
She's like, "I'm not sure I'm going to be able to identify him on sight." And then he's like, "Well, living here at the Matmos ages you or whatever."
Apparently it only ages the men there because the women all still look fairly young.
Well, that's because they're smoking Essence of Man.
And where's the... Yeah. How about maybe that's not why he's old? Maybe it's because the women are basically slowly picking away at his soul, sucking out the essence of man.
I do like their parenting strategy, though. We just have kids, we turn them loose on the ice planet, and then when they're old enough, we send somebody out to wrangle them, like throw a net over them and bring them back to the city, and then they just get to join society, so it's fine.
Kind of like Logan's Run.
It's a bit Logan's Run, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Or they send them over to that other area.
Yeah. The way that they talked about the kids, though, I think it bothered me a little bit.
I mean, yeah, they literally send them off to be feral, and then they bring them back, and they're like, "Okay, kids, you want to smoke some dude? I got dude over here.
Dude in a jar. Here, have
dude
some.
in a jar. It's perfectly fine.
This is it's a man bong."
Yes, yeah, and they're supposed to be evil, but I think it's just means sex swings and bongs. Like I think that's the evil. Like, and they're heartless. Like they're gonna kill Pygar, but
like evil is I'm going to kill you with orgasms.
Yes, right. Yeah, it's like the most weird, like the weirdest evil. Like you're supposed to believe this is a planet of like sin and iniquity and immorality and whatever. And yet, yeah, they're literally like, "I'm going to kill you with pleasure, and I'm going to lie around on a cushion and smoke a guy swimming in this jar." And I mean, the meanest thing that happens to her is when the dolls come after her and she gets bitten by the dolls. I mean, Pygar doesn't have a great time, but...
Oh, you're kidding me. Pygar had a fantastic time. She got his wings up.
Yeah, well, he gets pinned to the ground. Doesn't he get like pinned to the ground or crucified at some point?
He did that. He sacrificed himself to her. He knew where he was going.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh no, what if I have to go in the orgazmatron?"
He's that guy. He's that guy is like, oh, I was so depressed. That girl had sex with me. I will literally lay my life on the line for you now.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's not incel energy, but pretty close.
It's like, you realize if you do take me over here, you're going to get crucified, right? Like, literally crucified.
He's
yeah,
like,
I know.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll hold you while you fire a gun at these like warships, like battle things that are. I'm trying to think of the word, like fighter jets, basically. And she's taking them out with like a
more
handgun.
men in jars. It's more men in jars, basically.
Yeah, and
Those,
they died to the sound of like a crawl. They're like.
I don't understand how those were viable flying vehicles.
It's sci-fi. Just don't worry about it.
It's fine. Like I'm saying, 60s sci-fi is a moment. It is a moment.
There is some believable 60s sci-fi, and then there's
some of the effects.
That's what I'm saying. There's like the what the fuck 60s sci-fi, and then there's the ooh, wow, that was really cool 60s sci-fi, and there's no in between. And the only thing in the middle really is Star Trek. And that's probably why everybody was like, "Oh, look at Star Trek." It's not
actually balanced.
It's not cray-cray. Like, it's not Barbarella, but it's also not 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's entertaining and it's fun.
Star Trek, Buck Rogers, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Lost in Space.
I would almost shove Buck Rogers left with Barbarella. Honestly.
Yeah.
And then Battlestar is a little bit more 2001: A Space Odyssey side, you know?
A little more high concept.
Yeah.
I died inside just a little bit one day watching, I think it was Battlestar Galactica. I'm trying to remember if this character was in Battlestar Galactica or if he was in Buck Rogers. There's a guy who is basically the reason why Birdman is in Rick and Morty. But there's basically a character in one of those sci-fi television shows. It's basically a guy with like a bird head. He looks like an eagle.
Yeah.
The feathers on the head and everything. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know who this guy is. I'm like, that's fucking Carlo Hesser. I was a little kid at this point, when I'm watching this with my father, realizing that I also watched too many daytime soaps with my mother. Because I have just realized that this guy that has the bird head in the sci-fi action TV show is also the same guy that plays some gangster thug in General Hospital. I'm like,
have you ever seen Mom and Dad Save the World?
Yes.
They wear the like bird head things.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Garr and
they'll think we're birds. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're so dumb. Isn't Kathy Ireland? I think it's Kathy Ireland.
Kathy Ireland.
Yeah. That's a movie. That's a movie that's technically a movie that happened.
And I have seen some Kathy Ireland films that just... How did she ever get an acting career?
Did she have an acting career? Are we back to the Jeff Goldblum question?
Are we calling this a career?
Oh, no. Kathy Ireland...
high-profile cameos.
No, I mean, she had some legitimate films that...
I know.
Okay, I'm using the word legitimate loosely. I apologize.
Things that are technically movies.
All I ask of you is to go look up a movie called Alien from LA. Starring Kathy Ireland.
Okay. It's kind of like Patrick's...
You don't have to look it up right now. I'm just saying, like, when we're done, go look it up. If you want to watch it, fine. Maybe have a drink or smoke a little something, because
to get through
it's one of those films.
It's kind of like Patrick Stewart's career, where like you think of Patrick Stewart as this really highbrow British actor, and yet he's been in stuff like Life Force and David Lynch's Dune. Every time you show up, you're happy to see him because you know he's going to do a great job. But like, what person, what manager hands him these scripts?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, Patrick, I think I've got the role for you. And I think you're going to be in this space vampire show. I think you're going to really like it. And he's like, will I get paid? And they're like, yes. And he's like, cool, then I will be in the thing. But
or the bit where he sang the Rawhide song.
my favorite part, he's in that show with, what's that like show where the actors play themselves, but they're like caricatures of themselves. And he's talking to that guy and he's like, if you know, like in X-Men, you have powers. So like in real life, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And he's like, I would look at women and their clothes would fall off. And he's like, their clothes. And he's like, yeah, I would just look at them and then their clothes would fall off. And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Was that the one with Ricky Gervais?
Because it's Sir Patrick Stewart being like, I would look at them and then they'd just be naked and it would be a good day. And you're like, Patrick, is it you?
I think Scott Baio did this movie. Zapped. Where basically he spent a good portion of the movie just like blowing clothes off of this one girl that ticked him off or kept turning him down or whatever.
I think it was Ricky Gervais. I forget what movie what show it is.
I'm recalling a video clip with Patrick Stewart and Ricky Gervais, and Patrick Stewart is basically playing himself, and he's like, "Okay, you know Star Trek, right? Nah, I never
Kathy
watched
Ireland
it.
also...
What about Star Wars? Nope.
Is Kathy Ireland
you must
also
have a girlfriend then. No, I don't have a girlfriend. You don't have a girlfriend, and you've never seen Star Trek. What is wrong with you?"
So, wasn't Kathy Ireland also in the like Leslie Nielsen like Naked Gun ripoff, like the Naked Gun 3 and like the
33 and a half?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or 33 and a third?
I think she is.
There were 3 of them, like Naked Gun 1, the Naked Gun, and then there was Loaded Weapon.
Yeah, she's in Loaded Weapon. I'm pretty
National
sure.
Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, the one that had Samuel L. Jackson and Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, because she
I believe she was in that.
takes her beauty mark off, I think, and gives it.
Oh,
to
when
somebody.
she takes the beauty mark off, that is. Oh, the one with Charlie Sheen, the action movie, the parody action movie.
There's Loaded Weapon.
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots. Yeah.
Well, she's not in Hot Shots. That's a different person.
But that's a movie where the lead.
I know who you're talking
actress
about. Yes,
takes off the beauty mark.
Yeah,
and puts it on him.
That was a good film.
Those were all.
That was basically
Hot Shots Part 2.
Hot Shots
that was
Part
basically
2
Charlie Sheen
movie.
making fun of himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Best scene in that film is when Charlie Sheen's standing on the boat, and then Martin Sheen passes him in another boat, and they just point at each other.
Yes,
she was in Journey to the Center of the Earth in 1988.
She's in Mom and Dad Save the World. That's correct. I was right on that one.
I have a
Destiny.
4K
Loaded Weapon 1
Blu-ray copy of Alien from LA, which
She's
is
in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
She's Wanda Sack Newsom in Alien from LA. Wow.
Yeah, that's like her lead film. Like she's the lead actress in that film. So,
a nerdy young woman with a childish voice travels to Africa. Okay. I mean, that's... Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
It was such
interesting.
Anyway.
That is not a good explanation of the film, by the way. It isn't.
Really? IMDb synopsis isn't accurate to what the movie is about.
Watch that film and you'll look at that IMDb synopsis and be like, okay, you did not fucking prepare me for what I was going to watch.
What does IMDb think Barbarella is about? Let's look this up.
Sure. Because IMDb synopsises, you have the synopsis and then you have people explaining the film below. So the one that they usually tag to the top is rarely ever the one that explains much anything.
No.
Yeah. It's like, you should watch this film.
41st century, which we knew.
Yes.
Let's see.
There's now a president of Earth.
In the 41st century, an astronaut seeks to stop an evil scientist who threatens to unleash a powerful weapon upon the galaxy, partaking in sexy misadventures along the way.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fairly accurate.
That's basically what this movie is, yeah.
The Alien from LA synopsis, there's a lot more going on than just that. It's something. It's starring Kathy Ireland.
Technically correct.
Wow, the taglines. Who gives up the pill? Who takes sex to outer space? Who's the girl of the 21st century? Who nearly dies of pleasure? Who seduces an angel? Who's the bird in the gilded cage? Who conveys love by hand? Who strips in space?
Can we go back to the cage, by the way, where she was basically caged by the children and attacked by the little dolls with jaws?
Yeah.
That cage, which literally consisted of 3 bars, which she could have gotten out of with no problem.
Yes. She just sexily screams the entire time.
But that's illegal.
No. Oh no.
Like,
they tie her feet and her hands to the bars. She can't get away.
yeah.
And then the dolls are just like, and they're all like 18 inches tall, but somehow she's ripped all the way up to like her shirt's ripped.
Yeah, strategically.
Midriff exposed.
They climbed up her in different areas,
that's
if I'm
true,
not mistaken.
That's true, yeah. It just reminds me of Trilogy of Terror, you know, the wooden doll that the lady takes the necklace off of. And it comes to life and it's like
they kind of remind me of Living Dead dolls before they became popular. The things that terrified my son at a young age. My daughter grew up loving. How do I put this? We lived in Georgia. My daughter loved Living Dead dolls and these little goth Barbies that they used to sell at Spencer's and Hot Topics.
Okay.
And in Georgia, purchasing those things came with a bit of a price, so to speak, because my daughter was heavily into goth things, and she was of the mindset that everybody is beautiful in their own way, and this is what she was raised to believe, that there's no such thing as ugly. Everything is beautiful in its own way. So these dolls that most people thought were creepy, she actually thought was beautiful. One day these dolls scare the shit out of my son. And I remember just hearing my kids screaming from the end of the hall, and my daughter is sitting 5 feet out of the bedroom, so I can't see what's going on. And my son is just backed up against the wall in the room, just terrified. And I finally get up there, and she's got one of the dolls standing on the ground between her and the door to the bedroom. And this is how we find out that my son is absolutely terrified of these dolls, or any doll. Any doll. I didn't realize that was just dolls in general. Like, because I remember like one year, every time we went to Walmart, he's like, I want this baby doll over here. And it's like, okay, that's fine. We're not going to get that right now. So we got him one for Christmas. We got him the baby doll with the crib and the little stroller and everything. And he opened the stroller first. He's like, oh, that's really cool. He's like, put a stuffed animal in it, and he's putting stuffed animals in the little crib. And finally, we got to give him the baby doll that he had asked for like the past 2 months. Now, when the baby doll's laying down, its eyes are closed. But when you pick it up, the eyes open. So he's holding the baby doll, opening it up, and its eyes are closed, right? And then he picks it up, and its eyes open. The second the eyes open, he fucking hucked the thing across the room. He's like, no. It's like, okay.
Understandable.
I mean, dolls are objectively terrifying. Like, I think we can all agree. They're like miniature representations of human beings, and they're creepy.
Yeah. Honestly, my daughter got in trouble for those dolls down in Georgia because people are kind of evil.
I mean, we know the American South. We live in the American South.
She took this doll that like had black like eye makeup and piercings and that, and the other thing.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh no, she thought this woman across the street that she brought this doll over there and basically told her, I believe everything's beautiful, blah 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 blah, the whole thing. I say blah 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 blah, but that's what this woman's hearing.
Take as rote.
She ended up calling like the Department of Children's Services on us, thinking that we were abusing our kid. Because this doll that had piercings and black eyes, she saw it as abuse and mutilation.
Okay. No, yeah, I can see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here
Yeah,
like,
totally plausible.
Mm-hmm.
that is a great reason to have the Department of Family and Children's Services in our life for the better part of a year. I'm like, no, that is not something that happens. And then blah, blah, we got interviewed. They're like, okay, well, now you can't smoke around your kids. You can't drink around your kids. It's like, well, I don't do those things anyway.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay,
so for the
check,
next
check.
year, I'm not allowed to smoke or drink around my kids. So I'm not allowed to do things I'm already not doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but there's no abuse here, right? No, we didn't find any of that at all. Okay, so the woman next door is batshit crazy, right? Yeah, the woman next door is batshit crazy. So we're not going to see you again. Nope, we're going to see you every 2 weeks for the next year.
Yeah, because a report was made, so.
So this is taxpayer money, well used.
Yeah,
But
well,
okay,
we
I
live
get
out where
it.
it's I can legally shoot someone's pet if it's on my property.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the need to make sure that the children are safe. I get it.
I respect the diligence, like the codified routine of, oh, there was a report, there's nothing to it,
This lady,
we're still going to check in.
This girl, I say lady, this girl that came to conduct this whole thing, she was a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm looking at her, I go, do you have kids? She goes, no, I don't have any children. I go, you're young yet. You'll have kids at some point, and at some point you'll understand how much this woman across the street has pissed me off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get that you guys got to come here and make sure that my children are being taken care of and they're safe. But there's no reason why, based off of what my daughter said to this lady, that you guys should be in our lives. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just this woman thought something that wasn't true, and now here you are.
Yeah. This is why I petition that we start turning our children out onto the ice floes.
We'll send them out to be
Until
feral
they
and
come
bring
of
them
age.
back when they're
And then we send burly man beasts out to go wrangle them and return them.
and civilize them.
Not to us specifically, because I won't remember which one's mine, but just to bring them back into civilization.
it's
Yeah.
just Bigfoot with a facelift.
We are
is.
heading to the ice floes.
Yes, we are. Very soon.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
just the great frozen north. I'm ready to be out of the American South, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. But
That's
you could have had Barbarella playing in the background when she came to visit. Be like, no, it's the edited version. It's fine. This movie's PG. It's a children's movie.
if I had ever played this movie for my kids, like
Sir,
they would have.
Is that guy named Dildano? Yeah, no, it's not Dildo though. It's Dildano.
She's in a machine
Dildano,
called
yeah.
the orgazmatron. What?
Is he literally playing that while she has an orgasm? Yes.
I would
Like,
expect
it's
that my
causing the orgasm, ma'am.
Get it right.
if I made my kids watch this film, I would expect them to want as much distance from me as the rest of my podcast mates wanted after I made them watch Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, you put it on and then you're like, come to me when it's over if you have questions, and then you leave the room. You do not watch this movie with your children.
Oh no, that's the best part though. You sit there and then you just look at them and wait for the reactions as things are going on.
It's weird that there's no explicit sex in this movie. Not weird, I guess, because it's the 60s, but also like as close as they ride that line and as much nudity is in this, because there's that scene in the labyrinth where those two people that are facing each other stuck in the wall, and the guy's just like fondling the woman across from him in this passionate way you've ever seen. Like he's been doing this for 12 hours a day while they film this shit, and he's like, I'm so tired of this breast, I don't want to touch it anymore. That's what it looks like. And that's the most sexual content in the entire. I mean, we get like she just had sex because she's singing, but we don't get like sexy times.
No, there is a lot more nudity than I would have expected for a PG film, though.
Yeah.
But that was the 60s.
Well, this is the 60s and 70s. It's a wild card. You have no idea.
Late 60s, early 70s.
There could be nudity.
Everything was on the table.
There could be full frontal male nudity. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut this down to make it PG.
And it was just the mid to late 70s. They started to reel it back a little.
Yeah.
This is reeled back?
Well, I mean, if you watch
No. This was on the cusp, I guess, of the maximum amount of nudity in films.
This is space opera. Wanted to kind of be Caligula, but decided not to be.
Yeah, this is before the great
But
castration.
then you get to the late 70s, and they've kind of swung
once
the
we get
other
to the
way.
80s, we definitely swing back to like, maybe we don't put dicks in these.
And we watched a bunch of movies from 1979.
Yeah,
and there was like no nudity, except for the German sex comedy.
There was a lot of nudity
but
in
that
one.
was that was European, not American.
I mean, there's a lot of European sex comedies. I mean, that's like their thing.
Yeah, and that's their thing.
No, I mean, it was a German sex comedy. There were just tits out everywhere. And then one lady walks by with her top on, and for some reason that one specifically, everyone's like, ooh. And I'm like, what? Forbidden boobs? I don't get it. Like, everyone else is topless. Why those?
Hey, at least you got to watch your German nudity in a comedy. There are some disturbing German films coming out of the 60s and 70s especially.
Yeah.
There's some movies that just that's rough to watch.
Yeah. And you could watch like Ganja and Hess is a good
Sweden
movie.
only ever made sex comedies. Anyway, like entirely too many.
I mean, if you really want like 70s nudity in a movie, Ganja and Hess is a good one. It's a 70s vampire movie. And there's a scene that's like 5 minutes long of this dude running straight at the camera, completely naked, in slow motion.
Swinging.
Just.
Okay. Running. I'm gonna ask a interesting question, and it might be off-putting. What is the strangest male nudity that you've seen in a film?
Male nudity. That kind of narrows it down because there's not a whole lot.
I would say maybe the most disturbing, or the most like emotionally significant male nudity would probably be in Altered Carbon.
Okay. Why is that?
Altered Carbon, I watched some commentary on it, but they deliberately took an angle of nudity as like and the whole premise of Altered Carbon is you can swap your consciousness around bodies like whenever you want, and so it completely devalues the flesh. And so all human bodies are these like ephemeral, disposable things. And so they treat nudity in the least sensual way that I've ever seen portrayed in film.
Okay. And Rachel?
I'm trying to think, but I did just watch this movie for our one podcast, Gare Can Get It, and it's possibly one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And it was like an independent film that was written, directed, and starred by this one Canadian guy. And it's set in Bucharest, and it's called Wild Dogs. And it's every kind of porn. It's like the main actor is the porn director, and he goes to Bucharest to make child porn. While he's there, we have a lot of scenes in Bucharest of like people with different disabilities, and it's just these long scenes of us like watching them eat and do stuff, and it's the most like disability porn shit I've ever seen in my life. And we get like this there's more that we get this like impoverished guy who's a dog catcher who somehow he's not connected to the main storyline, but for some reason we follow him, and we do get some scenes of nudity with him, and we get child porn nudity. Like, it's a lot, and it was not good, and it was very disturbing. And I think this guy was trying to be like, wow, look at how hard these people have it in Bucharest, and we really need to, like, I don't know, help them. I think he was trying to go for that, but it ended up just being very exploitative. It was not. It was scarring.
Well, you've placed a movie on my list that I don't want to go anywhere near. Thank you.
No, please. If you find it, there's two movies. There's like The Wild Dogs. This might be The Wild Dogs. There's like Wild Dogs, and there's this one. And if it's about a pornography guy going to Bucharest, just turn it off. Don't engage. Unless you like watching a little person walk around in a diaper because somebody wanted him to play a big baby.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I am good.
Cool. Yeah, don't watch that.
Diaper porn is disturbing.
I just...
Okay, sorry. I don't kink shame.
No.
Some of what you said, definitely I would shame, but...
It's not the people. It's the fact that this director felt like he could just film them and then put them in this movie. It's like a kid with no legs who rolls around on a skateboard. There's it's just all these people who probably just got paid to be in the movie because they were disabled. And the only draw for them being in the movie is to look at them, which is exploitation.
They're basically treating them like a Barnum and Bailey sideshow.
Yes, yeah, and it was, unsettling.
Wow. Okay, so my answer to this question is so much less disturbing than either one of yours. So there's literally just the most surprising male nudity I've ever seen in a film comes from the movie The Fisher King.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching a movie with Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges in it, and I did not expect Robin Williams, of all people, to just do the full Monty in the film.
Oh.
Huh. So that's a lot more of Robin Williams' dick than I ever wanted to see.
Isn't there a movie where Willem Dafoe had to get a...
Yes, there's a movie where Willem Dafoe had nude scenes, but they needed to get a body double.
Because he's disturbingly large?
They interviewed the female actors in those scenes, and they said, yes, he's disturbingly large.
So they had to get like a body double for him.
With a smaller penis.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the most fun reasons to ever be told you need to have a body double. I'm sorry, Willem.
It says a lot about Willem that he hasn't traded on that for the rest of his career. Be like, well, you know what I got.
I'm sorry. Now I know why he has that maniacal smile in most of his films.
I forget what movie it is, but yeah, he is supposed to have a nude scene. He ends up having to have a double.
It's like, Willem, you got all this Milton Berle energy going on here. We're going to have to bring somebody in because you can't be hanging that hog out in front of everyone here. Nobody will watch the movie. They'll be watching that.
Fisher King was a Terry Gilliam movie.
Oh.
Yes.
Director and screenplay.
You haven't seen that movie? Oh, that is a really good film. There's a lot of dramatic performances I have seen.
Comedy drama.
Okay.
Yes. It basically revolves around a shock jock that causes the death of this man's wife. And
Jeff Bridges convinces somebody to murder people. And goes into a depressive episode and meets a homeless man, Robin Williams.
Yes.
Nice.
He doesn't, it's not that he convinces him, it's just basically what his entire shock jock routine is about. This guy took a cue from him and went off on a killing spree, which ended the life of the homeless man's wife, who he ends up meeting later on, and kind of in a depressive state ends up kind of buddying with him for a little bit. And it's definitely a very interesting film.
Huh.
Probably one of the better dramatic performances from Robin Williams that I've seen. So that's one of the few Blu-rays I don't mind having. There's a lot of movies I've got up there like, I really should sell this. I've seen it and I don't like it.
And yet there it sits on my shelf.
So getting back to Barbarella, how would you rate this film?
Oh my God.
Well, hold on. Is she ultimately successful?
I believe yes. She thwarts Duran Duran and destroys the entire planet and saves the great
She
tyrant.
finds Duran Duran, but it's also
because the Matmos kicks her out.
Him.
The Matmos spits her out because she's so disgustingly pure and innocent.
Sincerely sensual.
That's what they say. She's like, the Matmos spits you out.
Explain to me how pure and innocent I'm trying to understand that.
Well, it's because just because she's
not dirty.
Mm-hmm, because sex is not something that makes you impure.
Desire is not something that makes you impure.
Mm-mm. That's the whole point. So she doesn't feel guilty about it.
There's no guilt or shame associated with anything that she does.
I mean, okay. I'm just trying. I'm picturing the guys that she had sex with throughout the film, and I'm like,
not
okay,
physically, yeah, absolutely. I mean, she shagged Sasquatch, so
yeah.
definitely she needs
She
some kind of
essentially
rehab or
had.
something.
But she feels no remorse.
Right.
She has no regrets about any decision that she made.
Essentially, the sex scenes in this movie equate to two forms of bestiality and a hand job.
That's
So,
exactly what it is.
a hand job that, by the way, didn't get her off. It just him. His hair was standing on end. Her
Well,
hands
she's
burning.
done
Like
and he's continuing. She's like, okay, we're still going. Well, their
like,
psychocardiograms were not in line.
no. I mean, he burnt out, and he's like, "Do you want to finish this?"
I love when it curls their hair.
Well, it curled his hair, and she didn't get anywhere near
Well,
anything.
it curls her hair and then she fluffs it out.
Didn't you have to go back and like finish the job?
Yeah, well, she
Like
fluffs her hair out and then she puts her hand back up because she realizes he's still going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, you're not finished.
Yeah. Oh, oops. I'm sorry. I left you hanging. So she sticks her hand back out.
Where exactly did you get these pills from?
I know. He's like, I get probably from Duran Duran.
It's like, well, only Earth people know about this.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Demolition Man when she invites him over to have sex and she gives him the helmet thing.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, what is this? And she's like, well, nobody actually does that anymore. That's gross. And he's like,
ew.
I'm not doing this shit. Takes the helmet off.
Or the 3 seashells.
Yeah, the 3 seashells. The best
they never
unexplained
explain.
joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the best.
That's the best unexplained joke in the entire film.
Yeah.
You can buy props of those.
And
like replicas of those.
Every restaurant is Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's only Taco Bell in America. Overseas they changed it to something else. It's a different restaurant.
Like in the theatrical version overseas.
Yeah, it was
to a different restaurant.
I don't know if it's
Bell
like
won the franchise wars.
Yeah.
So like in America, it's Taco Bell, but any version of the film that you see overseas, it's not Taco Bell. It's something else.
Oh.
Well, that would make more sense because I don't know what we were thinking in the 90s, but Taco Bell did not win the franchise wars.
I mean, it's still around.
I mean, I guess.
Well, I mean,
it has a loyal following.
They're not serving tacos either.
I have not eaten Taco Bell in like 10 years.
Yeah, because I'm not going to pay $5 for a fucking taco. That's what I eat when I'm poor.
I mean, in the 90s, did they really think that Yo Quiero Taco Bell was going to win the franchise wars? I mean, their stuff wasn't even good back then.
Well, I think that was supposed to be the twist. It was unimaginable that Taco Bell would win the franchise wars. So that's what they put in the movie.
Yeah.
I think they are probably one of the few companies that like leaned into the fact that a lot of their advertisements were deeply insulting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Deeply. Like run for the border.
That's why their following is still so loyal.
Yeah.
It's like, I only ever see white guys go into that place.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Not
All
this
right.
white guy.
So our rating of Barbarella.
Yeah. I'm not going to rate it as high as they rated it on IMDb.
Well, it's one of those things where I can't put it on in the background because I can't have this on around the kids. So there's strike one.
Yeah, it's not family friendly.
It's not family. But it's entertaining. Like every time I sit down, you know what this movie is? My favorite thing to do with this movie is watch it with someone who's never seen it.
Yes, absolutely.
This is not I sit down and watch it for myself for my own enjoyment. It's like check out this shit movie.
It's almost more entertaining to just monitor the person that's watching it for the first time.
Yeah, it's a check out this shit movie. So I would give it like a 5.
Yeah, I was thinking 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't go above 5 on this, honestly. I like it less than I liked Vibes. I mean, Vibes was a decent film in comparison. I watched it like 5 times over the past couple of days, and
yeah, you don't watch Barbarella again alone. You watch it, and then you're like, you bring in a friend, and like you just bring people into Barbarella. That's the whole point of Barbarella.
you watch Barbarella and then you call up a friend you know has never seen this and go, have you ever seen this shit? I'm mailing this shit to you.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
gonna
getting
watch
this
together.
out of my house. You take this.
Call me when you're done watching it and we'll discuss. That's exactly what this movie is. Yeah.
I'm not disappointed that I watched it. Again, if I hadn't watched anything recent with Jane Fonda in it, I might have been a little bit more entertained by this. But like all I'm seeing is octogenarian freaking Jane Fonda running around.
Yeah.
Every time she talks, I'm just waiting for her to start yelling at Frankie.
I don't think I've seen anything with Jane Fonda from like since Barbarella.
I've
can't
seen
think of
her
anything.
like I saw her comeback movie because my wife watches all sorts of romantic comedies. She was in this movie, was it like Step Monster or something like that? Where basically it was her playing across from Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, interesting.
Like
That
she was
rings a
the
bell.
stepmother she
I think
married
I've
in.
seen trailers or something for it.
Again, if it had Jane Fonda in it, it was not welcome in our home.
Eh.
I've never seen, and I can't sit if I'm going to watch a TV where mom can see it, which sometimes happens because we live pretty close to her. It can't have Jane Fonda in it. She violently hates Jane Fonda.
Is it because of her activist nature or what?
Yeah, because she protested the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And my dad was in the Vietnam War. So mom felt personally attacked.
I mean, was he happy about being in the Vietnam War?
Dad was drafted, so I would be pissed.
I mean, yeah, wouldn't you be pissed that your husband got drafted into the war against his will?
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, it was politics
emotional, not rational.
You can't reason your way out of something that reason didn't get you into.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final words about Barbarella?
Yeah, an angel doesn't make love. An angel is love.
Love.
I'm going to end it right there.